Good morning, alumni and friends. My name is Leticia Hernandez, and I'm the Farms Alumni and Internship Manager with the Center for Land-Based Learning. The Center for Land-Based Learning has strategically set a goal to empower our alumni to thrive, whether that's sharing resources like scholarships and internships, or creating opportunities for our alumni to network and develop professionally. It is this goal that has inspired my work in this Lunch and Learn series. Today, our guest is Marcus Perez, the State Training Officer with the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Services here in California. And Marcus is going to share a little bit about his background before he gets into a workshop on how to set up an account on USAJobs and sign up for some alerts so that you can be alerted when opportunities come about, like jobs or internships. And I'm going to hand it off to Marcus. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks you, Leticia. I'm really happy to be here and share the information and a little bit. I always love the chance to share a little bit of how I got involved with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. I started with the Natural Resources Conservation Service as an intern, and it was somewhat kismet because I had just finished this huge semester-long research paper on where I proposed an agency that does exactly what NRCS does, and then all of a sudden sitting at a table with another person like, hey, there's this internship for something that does that. So it's essentially a dream job here. So I came in as an intern working as a field office engineer. I've got a background in civil environmental engineering with bachelor's, master's degree, and worked a couple of years as an intern, and then came on full time here in California. So where I worked about 10, 11 years as a field office engineer, and then transitioned into our state office, which is in Davis, California, for state training officer, and do a handful of other things, strategic planning and some things. I joke with folks that I went from calculating pressure in pipes to pressure on people when we start talking about workload and staffing. So that's a little bit there, the story for today. The big goal, the goal here is to have this open workshop. So doing some back and forth sharing screen. But I'm going to take you through USAJobs, which is the place, the one-stop shop for all federal jobs. Any federal agency you can think of, their jobs are posted there, whether it's internships or full-time positions, temporary positions, all across the country. And that database is continually getting updated and added to. And so there's been some great features with USAJobs that allow you to build a resume through USAJobs or import one. You can get, as Leticia mentioned, automated emails that will email you based off of your search criteria that you want, the jobs for that search criteria that come up. That was actually very helpful to me my last semester of college. I was getting emails about NRCS jobs that were coming available, and I got about 3 or 4 interviews being able to, because I was made aware through email that these jobs are opening. So it's a great resource and tool when you're starting to look for jobs. And I'll explain a little bit about the internships as we go along here. But as we go through here, if you wouldn't mind, just so I get a sense of the audience, I'll do both here, both internships and full-time positions. But what are folks on the Zoom call here looking for? Internships or full-time positions? Both. Feel free to throw something in the chat or come off mute and let me know.
Hey, Alejandro. Great to see you here. I know for our alumni in college, it's probably going to be on the internship side. And it looks like we have 2 of them here.
Perfect.
Unmute and say hi.
Hello.
Alejandro, a pleasure. Okay, well, perfect. So we'll start with internships, and then I'll show you the full-time positions after. That way we can rock and roll there. What I have for you sharing screen is what USAJobs looks like. I'm going to throw this in the chat so you have this. And ideally, you would follow along at home, and by the end of the workshop today, you'll have an account set and ready, and you can start that process of looking for internships or full-time jobs by the end of the workshop here today. When you first log in to USAJobs, you're going to create a sign-in up here at the top. And it's going to ask for an email address. And so you're going to want this email address to be something that you can use your school email address, that's fine. But when you go to seek full-time employment, right, you're going to want to go in there and change it. So if you have an email address, one that you use, that you're going to use quite a while, in addition to the school one, I recommend using that. When you get here, you're just going to click create an account. This is why I talk about the email address. So make sure it's one that you remember the password to, especially when you start looking for the job. You can see they have different language preferences here. Now I already have an account, so I'm gonna see if I can ask one of you to potentially share screen, and we can kind of go through the user interface of what this would look like. And that way we get a good sense of what's going on with this account process. And then if we have any questions as you're building your account, we can address those. So any volunteers, I'll throw this out there, any volunteers who would like to share screen and go through the setup here, and I'll talk you and walk you through the setup. This is a learning environment, so it's okay. No, you won't be graded. There won't be testing done on this.
Jackie, are you in where you can share your screen?
Yeah, I can share my screen.
All right, so I'll stop sharing.
I think I just created it. So is that okay?
So Jackie created it that fast, so that's a good. Here you go. That should be so you already went through submit and you've got your counts and you're good. Let's take a look. So you're at this point, right?
Mhm.
Thanks for sharing screen. Let's see here. I'm gonna make sure you got the chats and let's open. Anybody else at this point? Or stuck before this point. So this was just you put in your email address, click the I read and accept the login.gov and hit submit. And this was where you're at this point.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this screen here. This is the authentication method. It's that two-factor authentication method. So whatever you're comfortable with in terms of multi-factor identification, if texting is the easy way for you, for me, that's usually how I have it done. Or if you've got, I don't imagine most people have a security key. And if you're not a federal employee already, the government employee ID is probably not an option. So it's either going to be the top three. That authentication application, there's a couple out there. Microsoft has an authenticator app that's used, and that's a fairly common one. But if you're not used to using authentication applications, then the text or voicemail or the backup codes is what I would suggest for using. So go ahead, I'll let you pick.
It looks like it said on the backup codes to be careful because those are easy to lose. So.
Another good reason, yeah. Very true, especially write them out on a piece of paper. So what's being demonstrated here, right, is the code for the SMS. So you got a text, just put in the code. Yeah, and you can skip for now at this point. Once you get a federal job, you can go back in and do the government ID. We'll put that hopeful point on there. Yep. And if that looks good, all right, you're in like Flynn at this point. This is the user interface when you create your account. And I'm gonna pause here just to make sure if there's any questions or if anybody's stuck at any point. But fairly easy. You're a great demonstrator. Thank you. Courtney, is everything good on your side?
So
Yes, everything's good on my side.
Courtney,
Then
actually,
Alejandro, looking good over there.
Yes, thank you.
perfect.
And then I have a couple, I don't know who's Samsung or, and then I see Ventura.
These are actually some of our staff
I
members.
was gonna say this is probably some of the staff, and I'm probably calling on staff. So yeah, if you're good there, then
That's
okay.
that one. I'm not sure. That might be alumni. The Samsung wants to unmute. Introduce yourself.
I believe I'm the Samsung one. It's Jose Escobedo.
Hey, Jose, good to see
That's
you.
you. I'll say thank you for joining.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why it's showing up as Samsung. I don't know how I can change it because I'm gonna use my phone.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, as long as we know we got you now, Jose. And if you have any questions as we're going through, feel free to unmute and ask.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the next step here, what I'd like to demonstrate is this idea of the saved search and the automated email. So if you click on saved searches, and it's to the right, yeah, it's going to ask you for keywords. So you're looking for this. This can be the your degree. This could be an agency that you want to work for, whatever you'd like. So let's keep it for right now. Let's call it internship. And then if you have a specific degree that you want to try out, you can put that in here too as a keyword. All right, and then do you have a location that you prefer over another? If not, that's okay.
Yeah, I'll type it in.
California. All right, cross our fingers here. Okay, and this is okay. This is what I was actually hoping to demonstrate. So it's always good to start really specific to see if there's anything within the specific area and specific keywords that you're looking for. As you can see, we didn't find any right now, so we're going to generalize it. And this is the strategy that you'll want to do. So the first thing, let's do this, but without any location and see what happens. So you can keep forestry, that's okay. We'll just do it without a location and we'll see how many pop up across the country. All right, so still not. All right, so we'll take, oh wait, hold on. This is what's going on. So down, you see those X's? Yeah, you got to exit, remove your filters, and then search. Yeah. Okay, so currently right now, there's 3 jobs that relate to a forestry internship. USGS, which is a great agency, all 3 great agencies to work for. And let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing in these job profiles here. So student trainee, definitely an internship. When you look on the right of the student trainee hydrology one, it has GS 4 through 6. GS refers to the pay grade. All federal jobs have a pay grade system. Most are this GS, like 90% of them. And what that refers to is GS 1 is our lowest pay grade and GS 15 is the highest pay grade. And 4 to 6, that's right around the internship pay grade. And what that means, 4 to 6, that means you can work in this internship and actually get pay raises as you move through the time. Versus when you see like biological science technician and it just says GS6 there, that's just one pay rate. And usually the higher the pay rate, they're looking for a higher education level. And we can look into that here shortly. The other thing too, when you're looking at these and this close look, you see that the first one, student trainee, has multiple locations. And then the other ones have specific locations. And you'll see quite a bit of that. If you want to find out what those multiple locations are, you'll just need to click on the job announcement name, student trainee. We'll check out to see if there's what those are. And on the right side, there's the overview panel, and you'll see the locations down below. And so all of those locations are Arizona, which is a bit of a way from Monterey. So not exactly in the area that you're looking for, but you get a sense of what's out there. Now this will change, and that's why having a saved search is beneficial. So if you do this saved search and those jobs, the hydrology job, the range job, or the Park Service, if those look like ones that you're interested in, you can save this search. And then anytime the search criteria comes up for internships that have something related to forestry, you'll get an email. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that for the moment. So if you see right above student trainee, there's a save this search.
Oh, nice.
So when you click that, you give the search a name, and this is helpful because you can do many different types of searches. So this we can call the forestry internship. And that way you know that this particular saved search is centered all around forestry internship. There's no specific location. And yeah, there you go. You can get it daily, weekly. I had it monthly my last semester. And then after a month, I put it to weekly. And then as I started to get closer to the end of the year, I put it daily. So however you'd like to do the cadence there is fine. Great. So now you've got your first safe search, and here in a month, it will look what's current at that time that it's emailing you and give you an update on this type of search. So that's the save search feature. Let's demonstrate now, if you scroll up, another way to look for internships when you first get on, besides the keyword search. So go ahead and clear the search. You can, yep. So when you first get on, before you start doing any search, if you look on the filters on the right side, there's a couple filters that I want to point out. Let's do the top filters first. And if we scroll through this, the first one I want you to be aware of is the open to the public one. Most internships, I can't imagine why they wouldn't have an internship not open to the public. But that's going to be one you want to make sure. But the big one for internships, there's a whole student and recent graduates category. And this is, you see right now in the federal government, there's 378 jobs, either internships or what's called recent graduates. And I'll explain the difference. When it says students there, those are internships. So the expectations that you're going to school, you're a student, and those are jobs for that situation. If you are about to graduate or have graduated within the last 2 years, there's actually a category of jobs where only people who meet that criteria can apply. So nobody else except recent graduates, right? Someone who's about to graduate or in the next 2 years or has graduated in the last 2 years can apply for those jobs. And that was an effort made to try to help recent graduates coming out of school find jobs quicker by narrowing the applicant pool to just that almost graduated and or has graduated in the last 2 years criteria. Now I see here, it spans the wide breadth. So besides the students and recent graduates, and we now know the difference between the two, students are internships, recent graduates are going to be full-time positions. The other thing we want to make sure of is that we don't accidentally apply for a job that's above your pay grade, so to speak, or above what your pay grade should be. So let's go down to the pay, and where it says grade, go ahead, click on grade. And for an internship and level, it's going to be from GS5 and lower. So if you click GS5, what that does is it sorts out any positions that are GS12 or GS11 that fall under this category of internship, but are for people who have like doctorate degrees or are like CEOs who are coming in. Sometimes they have special programs for that. So as you can see, as we scroll up, now that you hit the GS5, how many jobs are there up at the top? Does it say? So currently 69 jobs within that field. So this would be another way, if you want to start broad and narrow down your search, you can use these top filters to go specifically for internships, and then go down to the grade, make sure it's GS5, and you can scroll through the list here. Now, forestry, right? I'm going to use your example. If you go to the department and agency level, there's all departments and agencies that are catered towards forestry. So if you are aware, for example, I work with NRCS, we hire foresters. You could click agency up at the top and then look for NRCS, but you see it's not there. So currently there aren't any NRCS internships being flown. I will say in February, March, you'll see a boatload of NRCS internships being flown. So keep those saved searches on for NRCS, and you'll see stuff right here in California. But for the moment, the closest thing that may relate to forestry, right? Environmental Protection Agency has some jobs open there, and it looks like they've got information technology and accountant. Probably neither of which you're looking for, but this is the simple way of being able to take USAJobs, find internships. So let's recap real quick on that so that we've got everybody on the same page. So if you would go ahead, remove all filters, and go ahead, uncheck the save search. And let's try on the keywords search. We'll do forestry. And this is a nice part, it brings up some different positions. So when we do just forestry, you can see there's 546. So we've got to narrow that down a little bit. And if you look over to the right under students and recent graduates, there's 19 that are specific for students. So let's click there. So now this is going to open up a wide range. So 19, we're narrowing it down a little bit more. And you can see there's a little bit different. I'm glad these ones came up. So see where it says Department of the Navy? I've had this question before, so I just want to make sure everybody's on top. You don't actually have to be in the Navy or in the military to apply for those jobs. That question comes up quite a bit. But do you see what's right down below there? You see Monterey, California on that one that you just highlighted?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Pretty nice, huh? We just found you an internship. Now it's in this, the MWR is morale, welfare, and recreation, fitness. So it's not specifically forestry, but I'm sure some of the activities they do have forestry aspects, but a little bit different than forestry. But the location is right. Jobs not exactly hitting the nail on the head, but if you really had to stay in Monterey, you do that. So yeah, go ahead and hit GS5. See if that we and then go ahead when you go up. Go ahead and undo GS5. So we can see the GS, that grade level, that's, you don't want to use that one unless you've got quite a few that are coming up and you see things that are like GS12s and positions like that. All right, at this point, in terms of getting an account, getting a saved search, and using some of the filters, any questions here? Feel free to unmute or write anything in the chat.
Any questions, Alejandro or Jose? Well, Alejandro is in landscape design. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alejandro. And Jose is about to graduate, so he's going to be a recent grad from Fresno State.
Perfect. Okay. So let's do some quick searches on that. So go ahead, we'll clear the filters and let's try just landscape architecture.
You're doing great, Jackie. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, so 121, not bad for just out the gate. And then let's go and see if there's any student recent graduate filters on that one. Nice. One under architecture for Air Force civilian training. So in this one, right, landscape architecture, I actually wanted to, that was a dream job when I was in 8th grade. I remember writing a paper on that. So if you click on architect, we'll dive into what the job announcement itself looks like. So we already talked a little bit about locations. So you can see they have highlighted locations and then they got show more locations.
Oh, wow.
So nothing in California, but that doesn't necessarily mean there won't be later.
What
When you
about
look,
student
go ahead.
versus recent grad? Because Alejandro's still in school. He probably has a couple more years, one more year. till he
One more
graduates.
year? All right, so let's check out internships then. So let's take a peek at that.
I still have 2 more years.
All right, so definitely internships. All right, so go ahead. Jackie's getting super expertise at this here.
She can teach the workshop.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a summer internship. It looked like right at the top, architecture aid, right in Washington, D.C. That'd be fun. Walla Walla, Washington. So the other Washington, and a couple other places, photography, community planner. Let's click the community. Oh, let's see. See how the community planner says 7-9? That would be an example of one from an internship standpoint. You probably wouldn't want to look at that one because that'd be a full-time appointment rather than an internship. The other ones where the GS is like it says 00 or 3 to 4, those would definitely be your internship ones. So if we click on the student trainee Department of the Army one, let's go through just the anatomy of a job announcement here. So when you click on the job announcement, these are all categorized the same way. There's always a summary at the top. It'll say who the job is open to, like it shows here. And as we scroll down through this, usually what you want to focus on are the duties, and you can get a sense if it's related to the field that you'd actually like to get an internship with. And then the conditions of employment, the requirements piece. And this will talk about, right, this is for students in a certain level of school, that kind of information.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Who may apply, education requirements, if any. So this is all great information to give you a sense of, do you really want to apply for this job? The way to apply when you get to that point, you scroll up to the top. All of these job announcements in USAJobs have this big button at the top, apply. And typically what will happen when you click apply, it's going to take you through a series of steps like a wizard. And this is actually good. So if you hit complete profile, this is a good example. What they're doing here is they're going to automate some of the application process using your profile information.
And you don't have to put that in right now, Jackie.
Yeah, you don't have to put it in right now, but just to show, yeah, so you can just go down, hit save, and fill that in. Right. Thank you, Leticia. Okay. Let's see. Go down to like where it says save jobs or documents or something like that. Should be able to get you out. Yeah, there we go. So back to the save search. So that apply button, when you get there, that's going to take you, again, step by step. It's going to ask you for your resume. It's going to ask you for your unofficial transcripts. Those are the 2 required documents for any internship. Resume, unofficial transcripts. And then it usually takes you to a set of questions. And it's okay to oversell yourself on those questions a little bit. Don't feel, you don't need to be humble when you answer those questions. I'll put it that way. It's probably not the best way to put it. But you do want to give yourself more credit than typically what people give ourselves credit for.
Yeah. And utilize resources like me to help you with that and figuring out like how to
Perfect.
a little bit more. I'm happy to support.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. I have that same mantra. If you get in USAJobs, right, you watch this, you after today, you forget everything we talked about, you can always reach out and we can step through it. I just helped 3 people last week apply for jobs, and we went through this. The only other feature that I think will be great to show you, but I'll stop for questions before we transition into the next feature. We'll talk about how to add resume and documents to USAJobs. But are there questions up to this point on searches or the job announcements themselves and the information that's there? We have Jose or Alejandro.
It looks like Jose had a skedaddle.
Okay.
Alejandro?
No questions so far. Thank you. I appreciate.
No problem.
Just
So-
in time. Marcos, we have about 15 minutes.
15 minutes? Okay, perfect. Let's go to documents. And yeah, don't worry about that. We'll just show, if you scroll down here, I'll show you the 2 things and talk about, so there's a resume piece and then the other tab. You'll see there resume 0 out of 5 and other 0 out of 10. They're just showing you you can put in here up to 5 different resumes. Now, why in the world would you have 5 different resumes? That would be because you tailor a resume to specific jobs. So if you have an internship for forestry, you would tailor your resume for that type of work. So you would highlight anything that you would do that relates to the duties and those job announcements that we looked at earlier. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And there's 2 ways you can add a resume. You can build a resume in USAJobs, which it takes you through step by step the information that's important on a resume. And that's great. There's no pluses or minuses to building it in USAJobs versus just uploading a resume, which is the other option you have. You just click that add button and you can drop in a PDF or a Word document, what have you. As it says there, only Word documents, text-based PDFs, text files, resumes created. So there's a limit to those 3 file types there, but yeah, if you have one already, you can add it. On the other tab, this is where you put your unofficial transcript. So you just click upload document, and this would just be a PDF of your unofficial transcript. And if you are in the military or have military service, this would also be where you would put your DD 214. And for those not in the military, that's a form that um, veterans who are discharged from the military receive as evidence that they've served in the military. So those would be, I would say, up to 3 forms, but basically those 2, resume and unofficial transcript, and if you're a veteran, the DD 214 are the 3 documents you would upload here. And that would help you anytime you click apply, it will refer back to those documents and ask you which one of those you want to use. So far, the capabilities of USAJobs, 1, hundreds of thousands of jobs on there, constantly evolving across the nation. The Save Search will allow you to find stuff specific to your criteria and be alerted monthly. You can upload documents here so that when you go to apply, you already have your documents in one place. You have to go search for those again. And you have help. Feel free to reach out to myself if you have any questions or get stuck on filling something out in USAJobs. But as Jackie pointed out, pretty easy to create a username and log in and go through this. All right, I'll stop there with any questions.
So what about cover letters? Is that something that is needed?
You can add a cover letter into the other documents, so it still has that document categories. When you apply for jobs, some jobs will have an option for you to upload the cover letter, but it usually isn't required. So thank you for asking about the cover letter. So, and it's really going to depend on the hiring manager whether or not the cover letter is helpful. For NRCS, U.S. Department of Agriculture, typically the cover letter isn't looked at because the volume is so much that they'll focus on the resume. So if you're going to put time into something, make your resume, really hone in your resume on those duties. And a cover letter, you can throw it in there, it's not going to hurt you, but it may or may not get looked at.
And another question, do some jobs require letters of recommendation, professional references?
Great question on, where do we put references? So in the resume aspect of USAJobs, you can put references there. On the bottom of your resume or on a second page, you can put resumes if you already have a resume built and you're going to upload it here. On internships, usually they don't. I haven't seen for our. I'm going to speak for our agency. They haven't used the references 100% of the time. Good to have for sure, and I highly recommend putting on references. But it's not necessarily required. But the hiring managers will look for it. So even though it's not required as part of the application process, having it on the resume will be helpful. Great question on references.
Okay. All
But
right.
yeah, typically not outside of just contact information for the references, all you need. A letter of recommendation, typically not needed.
Great to know. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, if we can give Jackie a little round of applause. Thank you so much for being our on-the-spot volunteer. We appreciate you so much. And I would like to thank Marcus Perez for being here and taking some time out to show us the process and how to create an account and sign up for some alerts. I hope students will take advantage of this, and we will definitely be sharing with our seniors that are currently in school, and we'll be posting this on our YouTube channel. I did want to let everybody know we hope to be doing this series monthly, and we're hoping to get state parks next month, so we can also sign you up for accounts through them and alerts. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate being able to do this. All right.
Thank you.
Marcus, do you have any last words before we sign off here?
Great question. The last thing I was wondering if this question come up, I hadn't. Sometimes people talk about grade point average when applying for federal jobs. Sometimes the grade, so that's kind of the last thing to talk. Usually 2.5 or above will get you at that GS5 level. But if you do get a 3.0 or above, that will qualify you for a higher pay grade. So as you're going through school, keep that in mind. That 3.0 is a great thing to set as a threshold for looking for jobs.
It's a great pro tip. Yeah, very nice. Well, I hope students are keeping their grades up and you're already at 3.0s or better. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.